Thank you for coming on into the live and sharing your essence with me in this eternal moment of which we all share an inextricable and inexorable part. Thank you for doing your part, for coming on in each and every day, and we'll do the same without wasting a single second of your time. Bada bing, bada boom, we go into the charts. So BTC got a little bit of a push to the upside there and gave it all back. We were talking about possibly giving it back immediately thereafter. Let's just go ahead and hold ourselves to the flame right away. We were talking about coming up to these pools. It came up to that second pool up here and the fib deviation level up here at 38,250 and rejected off of that, giving it back to this 786 level. Do we continue further from here? Well, we have to step into the liquidity to find that out. So let's do it now. What is high block capital? Well, people lock that liquidity into the charts to get burnt to a crisp by the market maker for not using a stop loss, and we get to see where those crispy characters are. So let's go ahead and check it out. Shout out to everyone here. Let's go ahead and hop into the chat as it loads. Boom, 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 boom. What's up, Dingo? All right, so as we came and cleared this level up here for the liquidity at 38,247, cleared that range. They also pinged in a bunch of longs down below here, 220 million at 37,945, and their partner in crime at 37,543, and they went and absorbed those without hesitation.
Fatality.
And now it is possibly coming lower. Let's go see where the stacked chips lie. As it stands right now, you have some stacked chips down at that 37,338 region. A lot of 100x pools down here as well. Rounded top, possibly insinuating you stab down into this pool right now. You are imbalanced to the tune of $5.3 billion down in these long regions. Their partner in crime down at 36,777. Do we keep going lower or not? Let's go expand our vision to the higher time frame pools to find out. I have to dip out in the next 20 minutes to go to my daughter's marathon. What is it? It's like a competition. So I helped jog with her a little bit. So hopefully she raises her rank. She was looking to be in the top 20 of her class. So we'll see if she can accomplish that. All right. So there is some on the 7-day up in that 38,750 region that is still thicker than below, but on the overall draw on liquidity, looks like we hit a majority up in there, and there is more to the downside on the 7-day, but the thickest band is up above on that 38,750 region. Do we continue higher? Let's go ahead and look at the monthly. The monthly has some pools almost double digits, 8 times 4, so about 40 billion in 36 billion in short liquidity up to that 38.8 region. Coming below, unless you go to that 34k sweep, which we've been talking about for some time, unless we start sweeping that. Looks like it's building up an energy ball to sweep that in a sweet way, which is why we are calling for this possible immediate spike down to trap the most amount of longs and immediately reverse it in their face down to that 34K would be a smooth and beautiful move to witness. So that's what we are here to see. If when that happens, when will that imbalance to that 34K be taken? Because it's screaming take me right now. If I were the market maker, I could not resist just going down there and grabbing all of those longs on that sub 34K region. It's over 100 billion at this point on the 3-month and on the 6-month as well. There's really no reason to be bullish at this time. Binance under some scrutiny. I would expect CJ to cash out some of his Bitcoin to pay his penalties for his embezzlement. Just the industry of crypto is rife with manipulation and people doing nefarious things. So Bitcoin is its own entity, a store value asset, of course, but eventually retracing into the halving down to these lower regions would make the most sense. So, positionally speaking, are these entities looking to cash out at the highest maximum value? That could be the case. On the 2-year, let's go to the 2-year here. 2-year has a $50 billion pool at 38.8. They are starting to percolate some pools up in that 41K region. Ultimately, more down in the nether regions at the 23K even, that they left on the table, the protected positions of the whales and whatnot. Let's go back to the monthly and see if there's anything we can glean off of the charts and the momentum. Okay, so let's turn on our momentum indicators. Link in the description for more. We also have a 40% sale. I believe I point this way, right? Yeah. So 40% off the lifetime and the yearly. We are predicting those tops and bottoms with our stochastic array and that rocket ship that held your hand along the journey from 25K up to this point, and even 19K, and everything on this stochastic array. Now starting to print some nukes, so let's go ahead and do that now. Boom. So you have the opposite end of the spectrum with the nuke printed on the charts here. We were talking about getting this push off of the cloud. I didn't really like the level we were at, but I did say we would possibly go up from here, and we went up to the tune of 3% and started to give a majority of it back. Now we're back at the cloud on the hourly. Where do we go from here? The pools we reclaimed are now gone, so I'm going to delete these. Taken those pools and this curvature we were looking at on a lower time frame. Let's go ahead and make our descent through the time frames really quick. I only have time to do Bitcoin today, unfortunately, so everything else will have to wait till tomorrow. We got 24 minutes till the daily candle close. It's still closing beneath this baseline, suggesting that the fatigue is kicking in. We were talking about the 3-day possible cross down event, about 9 days on the horizon. How is that going to play out exactly? We've been wicking off of this region here, trying to bang our head up against the resistance. We have reclaimed the adaptive here in a manner. The 3-day holding at just below overbought. Coming to the daily. The daily starting to take off on the stochastic RSI, the money flow beneath the RSI, suggesting that it bounces off this 50 level for a little bit more upside on the daily time frame. If we go to the lower time frames of the 22, the broken time frame of the 22, showing it's already starting to head up there, and the Williams just being ambiguous on the overbought region. If we look at the cloud got a little bit of a burst up, creating this angle higher. We're going to delete this really quick because it's no longer tapering. It's still pointing at that 2 o'clock region. If we go to the 12 hour getting a rejection wick, if you use this retracement in the opposite direction and you do this on the and you do this from wick to wick in the direction it went in, and basically do a 382 level. If the body falls with under this 382, then it is objectively bearish. So this 12-hour candle is objectively bearish in nature. We did put in a higher high, so we are maintaining the trend, and we've put in a higher low here, so we could still realistically retrace down into these pools. This could be the when do we start to sweep that 34K and put in a lower low, potentially, is what we are aiming to see. This candle from basically a 4-hour time frame, when we get to the 4-hour time frame, we'll show you that. Still, the 12-hour, it looks like it could be starting to taper, but the money flow is beneath the RSI, just like the daily time frame. So this money flow could still give a little bit of a double top scenario here after putting in that higher high. If we go to the 6-hour cross up event had you at hello down here and we started to make our journey, still holding the baselines on the 6-hour. Let's go see how the 12-hour was. I didn't pay attention. 12-hour also still wide and beneath the price, so you still have that momentum on your side on the 6 and the 12. Now going to the 6-hour oscillator volume is tapering, and the overbought status of the 6-hour is suggesting that you will cool off here above that 50 level, at least for a little bit. Williams also in an overbought status. Do we come to that on the 4-hour time frame is overbought and looking to close. You have a 4-hour nuke that locked in and remains, which is lovely to see. When that locks in, generally that is a historical spot that stays with us for some time into the future. If we go back in time where we had nukes that played out on the 4-hour, most notably is that sell-off by China on September 7th, 2021, that locked in on a 4-hour time frame, and boom. So this is what we would like to see in terms of a stab to that 34K region, a manipulation all into that liquidity. It's been building for some time, and boom, right into that. This was one where it was an inverted one, but it happened on the top. And if we go into here, even there's one that closed on a, let's go back here. This was on a hourly time frame, I believe. So there was a nuke on this double top up at 67K, I believe. Where was that? Was it that, or was it the 15? Yeah, it appeared on the 15-minute. So the way the stochastic array works, how does this stochastic array work? Well, it monitors 7 time frames of information with 32 different indicator values, and it calculates across all these time frames, and it's a candle close specific formula. So it closed in that exhausted state on the 15-minute here in November 2021, and then that was essentially your top. It did not remain on the hourly time frame. And so does the hourly time frame lock it in or not? The extreme momentum push causes it to lock in or not. Each one of these sevens, for example, was 7 time frames oversold, and then that's highly probable to go up. And similarly, when you have those nukes, it's 7 time frames overbought, and then we started to come down. This was back 2021 when we were ultra bullish, but just historically looking at where we have had these in the past. So bringing us back full circle here to this moment in time, we are getting multiple hourly signals here and 4-hour nukes. A nuke on the 4-hour that gave it immediately back. So yeah, this is possibly topping out on this. What are we looking at on the weekly? We haven't really looked at the weekly in some time, so we're going to look at the weekly right now. Weekly is overbought, so this is something to take note of. The weekly, you had the money flow down here with the money flow disparity between the RSI, and then we had that hidden bullish divergence on the RSI, on the money flow. So this was screaming upside, and we got it for the weekly time frame. Are we starting to see that weekly fatigue as the RSI gets heated and the money flow comes up to that even Steven level, and stochastic RSI also getting overbought? We could be seeing the topping out idea on the weekly. Okay, so going back to the 4-hour and the nukes that have been locked in. So we have a purple vector that gave back all of the green vectors. So we had a bearish, not bearish engulfing exactly, but near there. A BPR, a balanced price range fair value gap, similar to here. So do we start to make another stab down into the pools below? It reached the deviation. I drew this impulse to impulse here, this retracement, because it matched up with where we started to bounce here, and then we went up to the deviation up at the 2.7 level. So we have hit that, so I'm going to take this off. It is finished now, trying to consolidate my lines. If we go to the hourly time frame, hourly cloud is still holding in an angle here. The super trend also got broken here but re-established, holding that cloud here from the Asian session into London. London went sideways and New York took it up, and so here we are at that point. Do we continue higher or not? The hourly time frame has reset in a manner here, but the Williams could suppress it on that 4-hour time frame to the downside. Do we have a fair value gap confirmation higher probability level? We do. Here is one little gaparoo inside that, 3 candles, and this vector here that we could come back into. So far on the 15-minute, we are bearishly retesting in an ABC fashion here like this to possibly come lower. So that suppression of the hourly by the 4-hour could be in effect here as we start to make our way down here and broke the 15-minute cloud. All of these 15-minute clouds were maintained on our path up here. As ugly as all these 15-minute candles look, the cloud was maintained on our path up, and it was maintained on the hourly. So that's why yesterday I was saying, as long as we hold this cloud, as ugly as this looks, it looks like we're going up. And sure enough, the algo took us up in that fashion. So I don't trade against the cloud, so the cloud tells me we are going down. And this is one of the features of the Momentum Master Trinity. If you break this hourly cloud, then you get your second confirmation of that occurring. So do we break this hourly cloud and start to negate that and make our way lower? Let's look at the pools. The pools suggest there is some liquidity below to grab at that 37,343 region. and even further down at that 36,623 region as well. So coming down into that 36,623, we have that pool marked off for you, and then the other one is at 37,343. Let's go ahead and put that in there. 37,343. Not that far away. 343. There we go. So there is a little bit of happiness down in there for them to grab. And so do they continue on this path over the weekend. We put in the higher high. The goal was established. The positions were liquidated and a bigger player cashed out their position. Does it start to make a drift and cascade below? The 4-hour held in this level from Thursday, and we made our way up. So you have a long journey to break this cloud on the 4-hour too, and start to flip these baselines on the 4-hour. It all starts somewhere, and right now it is starting on the 15-minute. So right now, just looking at the 15-minute break of the cloud, super trend, baselines, everything starting to insinuate this grabbing of this pool down below and possibly cascading it further down to that 36,667 level. And these alerts are all able to be received to your phone. One member actually pointed out the nukes about this happening as it was happening. One of the beautiful things is that's why the suite says be your own guru. You can kind of gauge whether it has reached a level of interest or not. It was getting the nukes over here, but it hadn't swept the range yet. So also looking what higher time frame candle closes does the nuke lock in on. Locking in on a 4-hour is more likely to have that elasticity rip to the downside there. And if it reaches into a level, a deviation level that you were looking at, that could have been a beautiful short opportunity. All right, so let's go ahead and look at the dominance real quick and see where that is surging. We were talking about a potential curvature here. What was that time frame we were looking at? It was the hourly, I believe. Was it? What was that curvature from? The 12. So we were looking at a 12-hour curvature here that could be starting to show some sort of dominance burst up. If the dominance does go up here, that means that you will have Bitcoin stealing the show, and sure enough, also we were talking about this possibly coming lower, which would mean Bitcoin went up and then possibly come back. And now if it comes back in a furious manner above this, then you know the confirmation of the short idea could be in effect, because this curvature of the USDT dominance suggesting that if it does go this way, there could be a big pulling back into USDT, meaning people's trades getting stopped out into USDT, which means dumpage basically. So if this 12-hour cloud is any clue of what's going to happen, if we come back above that cloud and start to trade with the cloud, then that means very similarly we are going to possibly retrace into that 34K at last. If we take this angle in a manner here, let me just get this proper. So do we start to see this curvature of the 12-hour cloud long ways away at that 36,667 region? If you make it to that level, then we can cross that bridge when we get there. Ultimately, the bullish narrative starts at that 34K 236 level, so it'd be interesting to come back and test the super trend on that and the overarching narrative as we create a rounded top. shout out to everyone here. So we gotta bounce out here in the next few minutes. If there's nothing else to take a look at, let's go ahead and see. Hourly time frame. So let's go look at Litecoin real quick for my man Signified. So let's go ahead, take a look what we were talking about. We just said it would possibly go up with everything else, trading with the cloud here, reaching up into a resistance level. I think this is a cloud on like a 12-hour or something. No, that we wicked up into the 12-hour cloud. Now this is the daily cloud. So we were seeing this angle of the daily fatigue that it was batting its head against, and we could see this rejection, and sure enough, we are. This was a 382 shallow bounce on Litecoin that came into this 382, retraced out and bounced out here. Where do we go from this point? Is there some pools to grab up in here? There's still some gap up in that 72.62 region that it could come into. That was a liquidity level we were looking at. And up above at that $75 mark. Let's just go ahead and look at that. So overall, in a nutshell, BTC possibly retracing and getting a suppression of the 4-hour time frame on the hourly to retrace lower. So watch out for those levels below at that 37,366 and possibly 36,279 to sweep all these longs to the tune of $5.1 billion imbalance. If that is the case over the weekend. It is Saturday, November 25th, and it is a Thanksgiving weekend, so the larger players will be on the sidelines for the most part. It will just be algorithmic trading and retail traders getting liquidated. One thing you can look at for liquidations, if you don't have it, is you can go to coinglass.com/liquidation data, and you can see where people get liquidated and when. And also one thing you can look at in the moment, v3.aggr.trade. It's what I used before high block when I would watch liquidation events, and I watched the tape for basically basically like all day for like over a year. I would watch this and watch all the trades come in. You can watch it down to the 10-second, even 1-second chart, so you can get 1-second data and see where people are liquidated with these gold and purple bars, and it shows you across 18 exchanges. So very useful information for that. And on that note, I bid you guys adieu. So thank you for coming on into the live and sharing your essence with me in this eternal moment of which we all share an inextricable and inexorable part. Thank you for doing your part, for coming on in each and every day, and we'll do the same, bringing the fire, the accuracy, the precision, all that fun stuff, and we'll catch you